This is International Forum. It's all about the Russia-Ukraine war, Donald Trump's influence. Yes, with me here in the studio to talk about this, he is a lecturer, Uniben, a clergyman, a political analyst, both local and international politics were grounded. Join me to welcome Honorable Frank Amego. It's a pleasure having you join me in the studio.
Thanks for having me.
All right.
Good afternoon.
And all the way from Massachusetts, USA, he is a legal practitioner, political affairs commentator. Join me to welcome Barrister Osanho Osazuwa. Barrister, over there is morning, right? So good morning to you, Barrister. Can you hear me? All right, well, in course of the discussion, we have this contact with him in terms of visual and, of course, audio. He will join us in making analysis in a particular discussion. So, the war, according to report, rages on. Is still very much on. People are thinking that since the assumption into office by Donald Trump, at least, that they'll use their sense, so to speak, right now, to know that there is a new sheriff in global politics. They should have known what to do to douse the tension, but no, that is not the situation. It's like now Russians, they're advancing. You get to about the North Korean troop being placed back again at the forefront. The battle is getting more and more intense. Of course, Donald Trump, the first day or the second day he was in office, he imposed more sanctions on Russia. Aside that, nothing has been done so far. What do you feel about this?
Yes, it is a good thing that Donald Trump is taking this direction, because it cannot be the world leader and the world is in a chaos. The easiest thing for such a personality that you could refer to him as the president of the whole world could do is to just do what he's about doing. And all this while he's been dishing out executive orders. But you can't do that to Russia or to any other country because of their sovereignty. But what he's doing is an executive negotiation. And the war between Russia and Ukraine is so devastating, even to the extent that Putin said he, as a person, wasn't really happy about the death of people. We commonly look at soldiers dying or being injured, but we hardly could have a count of how many civilians, especially children, that have been that they have lost their lives. In Ukraine, for instance, a third of the population has been wiped out, a third of it. And one will now expect that as a country, US, the president should do something reasonable. And talks have started between Donald Trump and Putin. One expects that this war will come to an end. And the war coming to an end is not something one we should just wake up and say the war has ended. There are, as they call it, remote and immediate causes of this war. They will have to attend to them. And the first thing and the easiest thing to showcase that the war will end is the ceasefire. It's just like an accident victim. Two things are commonly done to an accident victim. First is to stop the bleeding, and second, to reduce the pain. That's upon which the patient will listen to you. So if there is a ceasefire, and so far, Ukrainian soldiers, they have lost 43,000 soldiers have died, and 370,000 of the soldiers have been badly wounded. And one will expect that less of that will happen to Russia. No, more of Russian soldiers have died. As they have lost 43,000 soldiers in Ukraine, Russia has lost 198,000. For those wounded in Ukraine, 370,000.
They just this record as
yes,
of the record.
For the past 3 years, 370,000 Ukrainian soldiers have been badly wounded. Meanwhile, in Russia, 550,000. So more casualties are on the side of Russia. So, but what we're saying,
But many people will not agree to these records. And most
Yeah, the
people
records
understand
are
that
there.
Russia,
The records
they
are
may
there.
say that that is just a Western record, because according to Russia, they have their record. They said, devastatingly speaking, Ukrainians are the ones suffering.
Yeah,
they
yeah.
might even for this record, because
Yes.
according to them, they are the aggressors. They have this whole advantage.
you can fault these statistics
Yes.
on the general population. Russians are much more than Ukrainians.
Ukrainians.
So it is a percentage that you look at to say more persons have died in Ukraine, in
All right.
percentage. But in absolute figures, more of the soldiers have died in Russia than
You're speaking like a pro-Zelensky, analyst
You
just
see, that's the,
right now.
that's the reality.
Anyway.
So Putin himself has said he wouldn't want to show whereby people continue to die. So that's an avenue for further negotiations.
I'll come back to you. Let's move straight down to U.S., where Osaho Osazuwa Esquire is standing by. 3 years plus the war is still going on. What do you feel about Donald Trump's influence thus far?
Yeah, good morning from here, Winston. Good morning to everyone over there. We all know how it all began. People were saying Russia was going to enter through the front door of the Ukrainian Republic, and then before you know it, they will go out through the back door. But that has not happened. That has not happened merely because, not just because of the support that Ukraine has received from the rest of the world, but more so because of the tenacity and the doggedness of the Ukrainian people, who are so bent on defending their homeland and preserving a homeland for themselves and for their generation. So here we are. Donald Trump having told us severally that the war will end within 24 hours of him becoming president. This is the third week going to a month. Nothing much has happened. Because of the complexities of the issues and because of what is at stake, there is nobody that gives up easily on his ancestral homeland. The Ukrainians have occupied that land for thousands and thousands of years, and for one power-drunk person in Kremlin to say he wants to just come and take over their land and expect the Ukrainians to sleep on the floor and say, we surrender, that is not going to happen. Or for any world leaders anywhere in the world, whether it be Donald Trump or any place or any other leader in the world, to say that the Ukrainians should sit down and negotiate their heritage away, negotiate their land away because they want some sort of peace with Russia, that is also never, ever going to happen. So here we are. So how does the great fabled deal maker Donald Trump come into this and ensure that while the Russia gets something from these 3 years of bloodletting, the Ukrainians also will preserve their homeland? How does he make this deal? That's what we are waiting for. He said he had a call with Russian President Vladimir Putin, but the Kremlin have refused to either confirm or deny that Trump has called them. So that's the best we know so far. Nothing is happening. Because what is the deal that Donald Trump is proposing? That the Ukrainians should cede some parts of Ukraine to Russia, and that young man, Zelensky, should just find a way to leave office honorably. We agree to those terms. So we are waiting with bated breath to see how this high drama will play out, to see how this imbroglio and this bloodletting and these killings should end. I have always advocated that wars should be stopped at all costs. There was never a good war and never a bad peace. But let's see what happens from here and how it goes forward. Thank you.
All right. I'll come back to you, Barrister Sanho. You heard him. Before Trump became Mr. President, he really boasted that within 44 hours, 48 hours, as if he had the magic wand to say, let there be peace between Russia and Ukraine is going to happen. Do you think he has lost the Midas touch in terms of bringing about peace, or has been distracted with the issue between Israel and Hamas?
I think he over-exaggerated before he became president the second time. So because it was not in the field of play, you could say anything from anywhere as a spectator. But now he's a player in the game. The 24, 48 hours you gave, he himself would have realized that he ought not to have said that. But however, he's making frantic efforts to ensure that this war will cease. How would I mean? He has reached out to China and some countries in Europe, allies of US, to come together towards arresting this ugly trend. And that in itself should be applauded. Because if you want to castigate Trump now, what if he didn't say it? And what if he didn't make such a move? There have been several presidents. Joe Biden just left there. The war even further escalated. So the move of Donald Trump now, I'm sure, is better calculated that he is the president now than while he wasn't president. So let's watch it. As you commonly say, Wilson, let's see how it pans out. All of us will behold it, and it's the expectation of everyone, every caring citizen of this world, to ensure that lives and property loss would have been abated. And I'm also sure the two presidents, Putin and Zelensky, they would have been tired by now. That they never thought that the war would have escalated in this magnitude and to this length of time. And let's see how all of us can join hands, those concerned, with Donald Trump. Even if he made a statement that is unguided, if the statement is right, that the war should end. So it's not as if let's fold our hands, let's see how he's going to accomplish that. All of us, we should have our hands on deck. Those countries concerned, especially China, if China can accept what Donald Trump is asking for, speak with Putin. Of course, China and Russia, they are friends. So if the president there can accept it to speak with Putin, I'm very sure that the peace we have always asked for, the ceasefire, will come to fruition. I'm saying it on the ground that there should be ceasefire. Then on the round table talk, we're not going to look at ways in which a lot of things will be restored. The restoration is not, shouldn't be on the front burner now. What should be on the front burner is a ceasefire. Further escalation, bombardment, all those ones should cease. Let's see how we can arrest the situation and peace will exist subsequently. And with that, I think Trump is in order.
All right. With that, you think Trump is in order. Let me straight down to you as well, so how he's standing by. On one hand, putting on saying that Donald Trump is hammering Russia because of the sanction meted on them when he just entered the Oval Office. On the other hand, they are saying he's supporting Russia because most of the things expected by the Ukrainians to help them procure this war has not been given to them fully since Joe Biden left office. What do you have to say about this?
Thank you very much again, Winston. Donald Trump is walking a very tight rope. He realizes now that being bombastic and being large-mouthed in quotes may help you get the job, but doing the job the way you are promised to do the job in terms of resolving the Russian-Ukrainian war is a different matter altogether. He realizes the fine lines that have been drawn in the sense that Putin has an expansionist mission, and it is the interest of every civilized society, in the interest of the civilized world, that Putin is not allowed to expand. I think somebody in the White House now, in his present administration, or some key advisors, they have done a great job by drumming that into Donald Trump ears that look, this stand you have always taken, this pro-Putin, pro-Russia stand, is not going to cut it here. That Russia is an existential risk to the future and the advancement of even the U.S. national security policies. That somehow he has to find a way to to bring Putin down, bring in quote now, why not making Putin angry, why seems to play along as the friend that he has always said Putin was to him. So that's the situation that Donald Trump is, and I think to a very large extent, his demeanor has reflected that stand, and I will have to give him some credit in that aspect, because Trump he talks a lot, and he always very boastful all this why about Ukraine-Russia war, but ever since he became president, he has been so taciturn, he has been so quiet, and he has become reflective, knowing what is at stake, and not just. I was surprised. So his advisor did a good job because they have told him, look, Russia must not expand into Ukraine. No matter the kind of relationship we have with Putin or the kind of image you want to cut between you and Putin, Russia must not be allowed to expand into Ukraine or the Eastern Bloc or Poland or the neighboring neighbors. So he understands that. And it's a good understanding that for geopolitics, if your interest and the interest of your so-called friends or allies, if somehow they are intersecting, you have to put your own interest first. And it is the interest of the US and the interest of the NATO alliance that Russia does not expand westward. So
All
that's
right.
that.
You just hold on. I will come back to you after this break. But do not allow Russia to expand as it stands right now. They've occupied almost the Donbass region, which Putin was targeting. We'll talk about that when we return after this break. Thank you so much for staying tuned. If you just joined us, this is the International Forum. We're taking a look at the Russia-Ukraine war, Donald Trump's influence. We're with Barrister Osahosa, who are all the way in the U.S., sharing his own thoughts and opinion. Now, from what you said about Russia advancement, if you take a look at it, you said Russia should not be allowed to expand into Ukraine, into Poland. But remember when all this started, Russia said it is there to defend the pro-Russian citizens living in the Donbass region. According to report, he's been able to occupy these territories. What do you think Zelensky should do, knowing fully well that it's like their firepower, their manpower has been affected negatively? Don't you think they should succumb to what Putin suggested earlier on? Leave the Donbass region, Donetsk, Luhansk, you just name it, disband your military, go home, there will be peace.
Yeah, thank you, Winston. You are telling Ukraine to cede a third of its territory to the aggressor. You are telling me that Putin should be rewarded for deliberately and calculatedly launching aggressive war against our neighbors and taking their land. That reminds me of what happened in the late 1930s, in the middle to late 1930s, during Adolf Hitler mission to get what they call the Lebensraum, or what they call interpreted as a living space, that for some strange reasons Germany couldn't breathe. That Germany's neighbors around Germany were suffocating Germany, and Germany needed to expand on both sides, on all sides, and then to enter into the German-speaking region of Czechoslovakia then, and then Austria and all the neighbors, because they were just German-speaking. The fact that this area, they speak Russians, they are not Russian. They are Ukrainians who happen to speak Russians, because Russia is a big language. So there are some people in that area, most of them, they speak Russian. Just like people who live in Lagos, most of them speak Yoruba. So that's the way it is. Because you are so close, you live in Lagos and you not speak Yoruba, that doesn't make you a Yoruba person, a Yoruba man. So that's that. Putin must not be encouraged or be rewarded to continue his expansionist mission. Putin has a dream of bringing back the glory of Rodina, or what they call Motherland, the glory of the first Soviet Republic. And in order to bring back that glorious moment for him, he has to expand on all sides, especially expand westward. And the West realizes this. And that is why Biden and the NATO alliance strongly confronted Putin. You must not give Putin the hope that, look, maybe we can make a deal that will allow you to keep some of these your loot and your what do they call it, war loot. That's that. And the gains that Russia has made in the past 3 to 2 months has been as a result since Donald Trump won the election. And they think they want to quickly grab as many parts of Ukraine land, and then Trump will kind of sit down and say, okay, what you have taken, you can keep. No, you can't keep what you have taken. That is the thinking of Putin, because he thinks that kind of that Trump is susceptible to how do I say it now, when you praise Trump too much and say, oh, you are a good person, then he can let you do that. But Trump has good advisors who have told him, look, no, this guy has to be stopped at all costs. The war didn't stop Adolf Hitler in the early 30s to the late 30s. That's why we had the Holocaust, that we had the killings and everything that happened in Europe. And that this sent Vladimir Putin as a expansionist mission as the Nazis. And somehow he has to be stopped. That Putin is never concerned about the people living in the Luhansk, in the Donbass region of Ukraine. They are not Russians, for God's sake. They are Ukrainians. So, and those people, they have never been exploited in any ways. They have never been. There's no issue of genocide or that Ukraine was kind of oppressing them. It was a figment of his imagination and a pretext to launch that devastating attack on Ukraine to seize Ukrainian land. But thank God, the Ukrainian people have stood up to Putin. We now thought that we know that the mighty Vladimir Putin, or the myth of Russian superiority in war fights, it's just a myth. It's just a myth. For over 3 years, going to the 4th year now, the Ukrainians, they have stood to Russian aggression, and we see the results. So I am encouraged, and I was also cautiously optimistic that while a deal is necessary, a deal has to be struck so that lives and properties can be saved on both sides. People say Russia have lost more than half of its fighting force, so much so that it's not getting fighters from North Korea and other places to come and fight for her. But these are human beings. These are precious human beings. And those lives has to be saved, and there has to be an end to this war. But why there has to be an end to this war, there is also need for justice and peace and equity. That the aggressor must not be rewarded, that evil must not be rewarded, that there must be some kind of punishment for Putin. That all the fight he has fought, he just launched an aggressive war all for nothing. He has to get punished just some way for it.
I'll come back to you. I will come back to you. I'll come back to you, Barrister. Well, you heard him. He said evil should not be rewarded. And of course, Putin should not be allowed to keep what he has conquered, because according to report, he has conquered the region. It said belongs to pro-Russia, saying that they cried out to Mother Russia for help. Mother Russia has responded. He gave a condition for there to be peace. Disband their army, leave the Donbass region, go home. There will be peace. For what was all he saying? He said, no, that would just be like rewarding evil. But I'm talking about peace. Whether we like it or not, a deal must be struck. And that is some of the conditions given by Vladimir Putin of Russia, saying these are his conditions. What do you feel about it? Is it going to be a case of keep what you've conquered, or you have to let it go? Don't forget, Crimea has been taken already.
Okay. I want to sympathize with Barrister Osao in U.S. of his emotional involvement in this matter. But I wish I could also nominate or vote him into the peace negotiation, so that on the round table of talk, he could really say what he had just said. But those involved with negotiations will know better without emotions. So if what Russia has taken so far, by way of peaceful negotiation, says that Putin should hold on to what he has taken aggressively or forcefully, that will bring about peace. Why not? If the negotiators will say what Putin has taken out of aggression should be returned, and that brings about peace between Ukraine and Russia, so be it. So I don't want to dissipate so much energy on that.
But you see Putin doing that after sweat and blood,
yes.
losing men, it'd be like submit what you conquer. Do you think Putin will give into that?
Going by Putin's antecedents, that might even ignite the war, the more, to say what I've labored for. He has lost 198,000 soldiers, 550,000 of the soldiers are badly wounded. You're saying I should return what I took. Talking ordinarily, Putin would have been wrong, because that land did belong to you. For several centuries, Ukrainians have lived there. And I agree with Mr. Osao on the ground that these are not Russians. They are Ukrainians, and just that they could speak Russian language as a common language in that territory. So one can say, bringing emotions, that Putin should return what he has taken. And for Putin to say that land or those places he has conquered will not belong to him, I think he should have a reason. I'll tell you something very quickly. Recently, I'm sure you have not heard it before, that between the hawk, the bird, and the mother hen, they had an attempt to negotiate, two of them. The mother hen said, why do you pray all my children? Then hawk replied that I'm praying on your children is the greatest sacrifice I could ever make. How do you mean? That even the little chick that he has taken will not be enough. It's not actually is the mother hen. So if it's the mother you want, okay, go ahead with the chicks. And that's why up to now the hawk prays on the chicks. That's a peaceful negotiation. So I wouldn't know if that will pan out in this direction now. What you have taken, okay, hold on to it. Let there be peace. Why not? It's a way of negotiations. If Ukrainian leadership will say, okay, take, let's rest. Or we are not allowed to take what we have taken forcefully before, let the war start, part 2. But I'm very optimistic that the influence of Donald Trump in this, with the technical advisors he has everywhere, they are advising him properly. I'm sure something really peaceful will come out in a very short while.
All right, I'm still going to ask about as well the same question, talking about after the sweat, after the blood, after losing men, machines, money and all that. Do you see Putin giving up the region he has conquered?
Thank you, Wincy. I think it was George Santayana that said that one of the greatest tragedies of life is that we forget to learn from history. As simple as the saying is so direct and so straight to the point. We just kind of forget to learn from the past. History or events that happened in the past, we are supposed to show us and teach us a lesson so that we avoid those mistakes that we made earlier. But funnily enough, we keep forgetting, we refuse to learn from the past, and then we suffer the same indignation and the same wrath that we are altogether preventable. Listening to my friend there, I will just say, wow. Because I used to sit as a student of history and reflect, why did the rest of the world not stand up to Hitler at the very beginning, when he wasn't strong enough, when he could have been confronted? Why did they allow this guy to grow to become so powerful, to lead to the killing of 6 million Jews, almost the extermination of the world, the global Jewry, and everything that he did. Because people, kind-minded people, good people, leaders that were ordinarily good, could not summon the courage to do what ought to be done. Hence, we had that policy. There was a policy called the policy of appeasement. Appeasement. That let's appease Hitler. That if we give Hitler 2 miles, he will be comforted and he will go and relax. They gave him 2 miles. Hitler came back and said, I need 4 miles. They said, he just wants 4 miles. Let's give him 4 miles. This guy will be good. They gave him 4 miles. He came back and demanded, I need 10 miles. The world leader, they sat and said, 10 miles, we can afford that. They gave him 10 miles. He came back and demanded 30 miles. That's how he kept going until the world was consumed in a conflagration that were altogether avoidable. So that is what we have now. And it's so sad. And the Second World War is not far away from here. Hitler started by annexing Austria. And they said, look, Austria has a historical connection with Germany. There are many German speaking, let it be. He went forward, he took Sudetenland. Sudetenland was part of the old Czechoslovakia. They said, these people, they also have German heritage, kind of. He took that, they relaxed. That's how he kept taking and taking until he took Poland. And then he was saying, we have to do something. And by then, it was too late. So that is exactly where we are. That look at these people in Ukraine, they speak Russian. Let's see, you are taking that when you give in Donbass, like, remember, over 10 years ago, you took Kremlin. Till today, that one is gone. Now they say, let's give him Luhansk, it'll be okay. Let's give him Donbass, it'll be okay. Before you know, he will also go to Poland. So we have to evil. Listen, that's the truth. Evil has to be confronted. Evil has to be confronted. As much as I like peaceful resolutions, I strongly believe that war is so evil and should be avoided at all costs. Honestly, I do believe. But it was Niccolo Machiavelli that said that a just war is a necessary war. Listen, a just war is a necessary war. Not only in arms, those arms are holy, unquote. I still also believe that if it becomes necessary for people to fight, let them. And the question today, are the Ukrainian people just in defending their whole land? Was that war necessary? Was the war forced upon them that they have to fight? We have to answer that question.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. He just gave an example of what happened in history where Adolf Hitler was like, conquering. So after all, they have German heritage and all that. But don't forget what started all this. It's like a reminder, don't be a part of NATO. That was what started all this because of national security. I mean, it's okay, fine, we don't be part of NATO. Putin would not have the right to invade. So you see, I don't know if you can liken it to what Hitler really did in the past to what Putin is doing right now. That was how all this thing started. I want to be part of NATO. If you do that, you are risking our sovereignty. Do not be part of it. There will be peace. And they said, no, okay, fine. To protect our own sovereignty, people from this region should be part of us. And there will be this buffer between you and your NATO allies from us. So what do you have to say about this? The analogy given by Barrister Osao Sazua about Hitler, yes, acquiring more and more land, does it really relate to this situation?
That of Hitler was more of greed. That's different from the posture of Putin right now. Putin's approach is oppressive and an infringement on the sovereignty and fundamental human rights of the Ukrainians. Putin is not talking about the ancestral relationship now. As you just said, that was what happened. Joining NATO will make us to invade you. And part of the invasion was to secure possible landmass that, if it will have some kind of semblance with Russia. But ab initio, that wasn't the reason. The main reason was that you must not join NATO. And I also want to draw inspiration from what Osazuwa said, that if you don't confront evil,
yes,
that evil will grow up because if the tree becomes a giant tree that will take a crane from heaven to uproot it.
Uproot it.
So one thing about Donald Trump, he has two sides to anything. It could be peaceful. You might think he's docile, cannot do anything. He can also use a sledgehammer. So he's using this initial approach that the world will see, oh, he has extended the olive branch to him to look for possible peaceful resolutions. That's why he's calling on China and some of the allies of US in some countries in Europe. This is the most peaceful way to address this matter. If it fails, it becomes a major challenge that US may go the other way. But I like this initial approach. That should send a signal to Putin that he should renege on his initial plan of acquiring more land from the country of Ukraine.
All right. Well, from what Putin said, he's not interested in Ukraine, just that particular region to serve as a buffer.
He will extend it.
Are you Putin? Are you in his mind?
He will extend it.
All right, this is where we draw curtains to today's edition. But before that, come on. Also, what advice do you have right now? Just in 1 minute, what advice do you have for Zelensky? And of course, Putin, don't forget that Donald Trump is in the mix right now. In 1 minute, your advice.
Yes, I am quite happy of the direction that Donald J. Trump is taking in this matter. The world thought once Trump came, even Putin was thinking once Trump comes, he will be able to do as he like and just get away with it. But Trump is beginning to understand geopolitics and the way it works. As for Zelensky, the word on the street is that the West wants him to go, that he has fought a good fight of faith, and the time has come for him to go. That Zelensky will be a kind of hindrance to the peace process, having been a good warrior, not liked at all by Putin. So Zelensky, unfortunately, is on his way out. They are going to manage that now because they're asking for election and now that he has to go. And that maybe if he goes, Putin will be more willing to make a deal. So that's the place we are, and things are really shaping. I think peace is possible. I truly believe that peace can be done, but that I also think the Ukrainians, whether it's Zelensky or anybody that the leader, will not just allow their land to be annexed and taken away by the aggressor, which is Putin.
Thank you so much, Barrister Sahol Sazuwa. Well, you've heard him. Election is coming up. Maybe, just maybe, the absence of Zelensky may just spell the process of healing and, of course, peace in that particular region. But come on, he really made use of his office to really defend Ukraine. But do you think they'll vote for him to, like, continue with the battles in that region, or say it's time for him to, like, leave in 30 seconds?
Yeah, they will certainly want to bring in Zelensky because he has been able to represent the good people of Ukraine. And whatever thing he has done, I'm sure would have been in agreement as a nation. And if they give him a second opportunity, he will do much better.
All right. Thank you so much, Honorable Frank Amego, for your wonderful analysis. And of course, I really appreciate you, Barrister Sahol Sazuwa, for wonderful analysis. Trump right now is the #1 man in the world. Some may say it's not true. Others are saying, yes, any U.S. president definitely is the #1 man in the world. Let's see how he is going to handle this particular situation. Because it stands right now, the war is still raging on. Is it going to be keep what you've killed or return what you've killed? After spending so much manpower, sweat, blood, suffering, I don't know how they're going to really get out of this pickle. But our responsibility is to tell you what is going on internationally on this platform, International Forum. See you next week, Tuesday, God willing. Bye for now.